In this presentation, I want to cover some important information that you need to know about holes and hole notes. There are some hole definitions that you need to be familiar with. First, there is the through hole. This hole cuts through the entire thickness of the part. Next, there is the clearance hole. This hole is large enough to allow a screw head and a driver to pass through. Next, there is the blind hole. This hole does not cut through the entire thickness of the part. Next, there is the countersink hole. A countersink hole has a conical shaped recess around the hole at the surface. It is often used to accept tapered screws. Next is the counterbore hole. A counterbore hole has a cylindrical recess around the hole at the surface. It is often used to receive a bolt head or a nut. And finally, there is the tapped hole. A tapped hole has internal threads. Here are some basic hole note symbols: the diameter symbol, counterbore or spot face symbol, countersink symbol, and the depth or deep symbol. Now let's look at some hole note examples. Let's first start by looking at the counterbore or spot face symbol and how it is used. This note tells us this hole is a 0.25 inch diameter blind hole that is drilled 0.75 inches deep. It also has a 0.38 inches diameter counterbore that is drilled 0.25 inches deep. This note tells us this hole is a 0.38 inches diameter blind hole that is drilled 0.5 inches deep. This note tells us this hole is a 0.38 inches diameter hole that is drilled completely through the object. This note tells us this hole is a 0.5 inches diameter hole that is drilled completely through the object. It also has a countersink that is 1 inch diameter at the surface and tapers 82 degrees. Threads are dimensioned with the use of local notes. There are two methods: the Unified National Thread, which is commonly used in the United States and Canada, and the International Standards Organization, which are metric threads. The Unified National Thread notes include the major diameter of the hole, the number of threads per inch, and whether the threads are coarse or fine threads. C stands for coarse and F stands for fine. The International Standards Organization thread notes include a designation for M for metric, the nominal diameter in millimeters, the pitch of the threads, the grade of tolerance in the threads. They can be whole numbers that range from 3 to 9. The tolerance, H means no allowance and G means tight allowance. And finally, through may be added at the end of the note to say that the hole goes through the part. Prior to through, LH may appear to say that the threads are left-hand threads.